Alright guys, so we're back here on another day. So I went to the junkyard the other day to pull off the front subframe of another RX8 so that way we can mount the Wisefab e36 conversion kit, because I screwed up on the last one. I cut way too much off because there's no like how-to on this or anything to show you what it's supposed to look like. It just shows you a picture of it being on a frame, and it's like, that doesn't really show you how it's actually supposed to be done or anything like that. So I've been kind of flying on the dark here, so I got a couple posts out on purely rx8 and I think it's rx8 club to maybe see if anybody else has done it and kind of give me an idea how it's supposed to be. But other than that, I got the frame in, I cut off the old mount, and I got the got it mocked up right now. So I mean, it's kind of in the spot where it should be, I guess. These bolt holes are supposed to line up with the holes that are in the frame, so they're there pretty much. I just gotta cut it just a little bit more off, I think, and then we'll be good. And then I have our e36 rack right there, and then I also have the joint that's supposed to connect from the rx8 to the e36, so we should be good there. And then the other thing I gotta figure out is the distance for the tie rods and everything that are supposed to be there. That's just a whole nother story that we're gonna have to figure out. I've gotten that far, and then with the rear subframe, I have it over at Zerik's. It's going to his powder coating guy to get powder coated before we put the bushings in, because I just wanted to, I want to start fresh with this car and, make everything the way I want it from the start. So we're going to start off clean. I kind of figured out how to do the Wisefab kit. I actually was going through one of Kyle Mohan's old RX8 build videos, and I know he runs the E36 rack kit from Wisefab and everything. So I was looking through his videos to see if I can catch a glimpse of how he did it and mounted everything, which I did. So I took a picture of it, and now I kind of figured out how to do it. So now I want to show you guys how I figured it out and everything. So I'm going to show you guys that right now, and that way everybody kind of has an idea of how to do this and struggle with it anymore. What I was getting to is that they have these bolted in here, right? And you can't really put those into the frame because of how it sits, right? So it's supposed to sit something like that, right? And then I was thinking that these are supposed to bolt back in to these, so I thought you weld these on, but you don't. You weld these in, but you got to cut and notch everything out so you guys can put them in there and weld them in. Alright guys, so I did some cutting and some grinding and stuff like that to get these to fit. I think this is how it's supposed to be. You can see it sunk into the subframe. I mean, I found very little information about it, but I think that's how it's supposed to be. I screwed up on this one and I cut too much, but I'm just gonna weld in the section that I cut out right here. But this is how it's supposed to be. So it just sits back in there and you just weld those in. Alright, so I took some time and I cut out the areas that I needed, and I got the little brackets for the kit welded in to the subframe. Well, they're not welded in, but they're just tacked in right now. That's how it's supposed to look. So for those that are having issues with it, that's how you do it. I mean, in a way, it's kind of self-explanatory, but when you kind of overthink it, you think there should be a different way or something like that. But, so that's how you do this. I mean, that's the only way I found. And, some of the information that I've, got off Facebook and, other people. I'm going to take this over to Zerik and have him fully weld everything in and make it look good, because I mean, my tack welds aren't the greatest. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mock up the BMW power steering rack. So it's only been about a minute. I got the rack kind of bolted in right now. It's just, mock up bolted, but these bolts aren't the ones that are supposed to go. You're actually supposed to go from underneath and into these threaded spots, but this, I'm just using these as placement holders for now. And then on the bottom, I'm going to drill a hole so that way we can put a bolt through it and mount it in properly. But for now, this will work. We have enough clearance for everything. Everything's got, a decent amount of clearance, so we're good. And I made sure that it was all level before we welded it up and everything like that with the level. We're getting there. Now I just got to get the control arms on and stuff like that, to make measurements. But I think that's going to be for a later video. I just wanted to get this mocked up, and that way I can get it off the powder coating too, along with the other one. So that way when they're done, I can, get this car back down on the ground and rolling. Alright guys, so we got the car back on the ground with the rear subframe in along with the front. We got it back from powder coating, and Zerik welded up the rest of the tabs and stuff like that. And then we had it powder coated white to match the rear. And the reason why we don't have anything in the engine bay right now is because I actually clear coated the whole engine bay. So it kind of just makes the engine bay look nicer, and it'll be easier to clean later. So we got this done. And I also have the RX8 to BMW rack joint from Wisefab. I don't have it like actually in there yet. It's just kind of resting there. So once we get everything done, and I'll do another video of measuring out the tie rods and stuff that we need, or the lengths that we need. I know they make like spacers that you can do, but I'm not 100% sure if that's like the length that we need for this. I just don't know if those are actually for the Wisefab kit or not, because you know, with the Wisefab arms and stuff like that, you get a lot more track width, and I don't know if that's gonna really mess with what we're doing, because we're only using the stock arms because we're not drifting. I gotta kind of figure out a way to make it work with, you know, the stock arms and stuff like that. So alright guys, so I have the inner tie rod extensions on, and one of the problems that I'm running into right now is that the male part of this is M18 by 1.5, and then the female part is M14 by 1.5. So we have an issue with, you know, threading this into there. So right now, as I'm trying to measure out, you know, the distance between here and here, so that way we can try to find a tie rod that'll fit and work for what we need. Alright guys, so I marked the, you know, furthest in that this tie rod goes, and then I marked about halfway out, but I kind of marked it not all the way, you know, for halfway, but just to leave me some extra, you know, threads just in case, because I do like running a little bit of toe out. So I just kind of want to get my mark on how far I need to go with the new tie rods, because pretty much what I have to do is put that tie rod together and then put it into place, and then mark or measure out how much room I still, you know, need to make it work. And then I have to go over to AutoZone or Pep Boys or Napa or somewhere and pretty much have them go through all of their tie rods to figure out which one works for what I need. Yeah, this could be a pain, but so pretty much I need to take this with me so I can, you know, have them threaded into this. So we make sure that it's a M14 1.5, and then, you know, make sure it's the same length, and I can get the tie rod on. Alright, so I measured it out right now, and I got about 1.5 inches is, you know, the length I need on there. And so I pulled the tie rod out about 1 inch, and I barely got a thread on there right now. And we got about 1/2 inch right there that we need to, you know, come in. So at least we know our measurements right, and that's what we're gonna need to do. Alright guys, so I just got back from AutoZone. Luckily, the manager that helped me out, I've known for a long time. So she just told me, like, hey, just go in the back and look. Told me the section where to go and where to look. And so I just started going through stuff that they had. So I came across this, which a part number, come on, see if it focuses. It's ES3397. So I looked it up, and it's actually for either a Dodge Neon or a PT Cruiser, which is kind of odd, but alright, whatever, it works, right? So, like, one of our main things is, like, this is something we can easily get. So if we have something, you know, break at the track, or have one of these break at the track, or we need it for some reason, it's easy to get. It's not like some special order part or anything, so it's like an off-the-shelf part. So the thing is, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit longer, but if anything, I'll just have to cut this down a little bit and just make it work for what we need. It's not, you know, too crazy or anything, so that's what we're gonna do, and we're just gonna make it work. Alright, so I have the inner tie rod on, and I'm gonna throw on the outer tie rod right now and kind of just see, you know, how much I need to cut, or see if I need to cut anything at all. But I almost guarantee I'll probably have to cut off about 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch, but we'll see. Alright, so now we have it on there all the way. I'm going to pull the tire in and see where it lines up. And yeah, so with it maxed out, you know, inwards, I still have quite a bit of toe out. So now what we're going to do is I'm probably going to cut off about 1/4 inch inwards. So that way we can bring this in a little bit and not have a bunch of toe out. So I'm going to cut off just 1/4 inch and see where we're at now. Alright, so we cut off about 1/2 inch. So now we're going to try it out. Well, not 1/2 inch, sorry. We just cut off about 1/4 inch, and now we're going to try this. It's just a trial and error process. It's not you know, something that somebody's already done and kind of said, hey, this is exactly what you do. Because this is normally people do this for, you know, the Wisefab kit, you know, so they have their own tie rods and, you know, inner tie rods and all that stuff. But this is going to be something totally different. We're using the stock arms, so we're not going to have the track width as, you know, like a Wisefab kit. So we're going to try this. That's all the way bottomed out, it seems like. So see where we're at. Let's see. Okay, so we can cut a little bit more. You can still see it's kind of towed out, but not much. All right, so I cut a little bit more off, about another, about a quarter inch. So I just pulled the wheel in to kind of see where we are, and see what we got here. Okay, well that looks like we got a little bit of toe in. So yeah, it looks like we got a little bit of toe in, but you know, it's just looks. Well, I'm gonna measure everything out, but I think we're good here. And I already did the other side. So the other side, it's weird because so it's the same part number, but they gave me two different types. So the other one is threaded like all the way down here. This one isn't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a M14 1.5 tap or die, and I'm gonna thread it down to about right here, so that way I have extra threads just in case we need to do some toe in or something. But yeah, just so we can have some adjustability. But yeah, it's kind of weird because how many different cars we have going on here, because we got an RX8 with a BMW e36 rack with Dodge Neon, you know, inner tie rods, and then RX8 outers for right now. But a thing to take into consideration is that, you know, the angle of this to the lower control arm, it's definitely going to need a bump steer kit to, you know, correct that. So yeah, so hopefully we can get a bump steer kit for it. I'm going to look at that, but for right now, the RX8 inner tie rods are working, and, you know, just kind of keep it in place. But yeah, we're definitely going to look into a bump steer kit for it. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, I want to answer a few questions that we've gotten on Instagram and Facebook already. One was why we're doing this and stuff like that, because, you know, you have the RX8 rack, why aren't you using it? Well, the main problem is a lot of things to make the RX8 rack work are all tied into the ECU, because there's certain parameters that it has to work with to tell the rack what to do. And once we got rid of all that, you know, there's no point of using the RX8 rack because it has no idea what's going on. So we're not able to use it. So that's why we went with the e36 rack and converted everything over to hydraulic power steering, because it's just a little bit easier. And, you know, some people say like, oh, why don't you use manual rack? Well, manual rack it'll get tiring after a while, especially being on a track under high load, high G's, and trying to keep the car, you know, where you want it and stuff like that. And especially if you got like 265s on and you're trying to throw it around and stuff like that, it'll get tiring. So that's why we opted out for a power steering or hydraulic power steering instead of the electronic. That's, you know, we're forced to. And hopefully this helps a lot of people that are doing swaps. A lot of people are doing LS swaps, JZ swaps, K20 Honda swaps, 20B swaps, RW swaps, and stuff like that. This will help you guys out if you guys need, you know, guidance on how to do it and use a different rack than what the RX8 comes with. So that was one of the questions. The other question was how do we get the parts and stuff like that. I'll put a link in the description that should bring you to the page of the RX8 Wisefab kit. If you scroll down a little bit, it'll have like a blow-up view of all the parts and stuff like that, and you can order them separately. So you're gonna have to order the steering joint separately, the RX8 to E36 conversion separately, and then along with the extenders separately. So unfortunately, that's how we have to do it. And then I'll also put a link in the description for the actual part number that I used from, it was AutoZone, but I don't know if you guys can get the other parts. But it's for Dodge Neon. I'll kind of put a year, make, and model for you guys down there too, so that way you guys can get them. The thing that I've noticed with them, out of the two that I got, they're both different. One was threaded a lot more than the other, so yeah, it's just kind of weird, but you know, AutoZone quality for you. But if you have to, get like an M14 1.5 die, and then just thread a, you know, a couple more threads on there if you need to. Then you cut it, you know, just cut down the length. So that covers the parts, and then the other was the angle, and it's not really gonna make more angle. It's just, you know, factory rx8 hubs and everything. We didn't change any of the positioning or anything like that, so it's not gonna change a lot of the angle. If you guys are looking for a little bit more angle for like drifting, or, you know, grassroots drifting or something like that, Tanner from OC Mobile Alignments does some drift knuckles for you guys. So if you guys want to hit him up, OC Mobile Alignments, or I think it's like Drift Knuckles or something like that on Instagram. I'll put that link in there, and then so that way if you guys need a little bit more angle or want more angle or whatever, you guys can get a hold of him and help him out, and, you know, he'll help you guys out. So I hope this kind of helps you guys out, and, you know, gave you guys some good information on how to do this. So the next part we got to figure out is where we're going to mount our new electronic power steering pump, which is a Toyota MR2 power steering pump, which is looks like this, and we just got to figure out where we're going to mount it and how we're going to route all the lines and stuff like that. So that's going to be a whole different task in itself, so we're going to figure that out, and we'll be doing a video on that too. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.